roughly about an hour removed from Moses Telma versus Dillian White. Ended in a round, people, in 1 minute and 59 seconds to be exact. Excuse me. This was just a mismatch. That's what it was. And for me, although I thought Dillian White would do better than he did, ultimately my original perception of this fight was Telma wins this fight handy. In my head, originally when this fight was announced, in my head I could just see Telma launching a combination with those fast hands, Dillian White having not fought any southpaws of any note as a pro, and probably not being used to hand speed like that. I always felt Andy Ruiz, at peak Andy Ruiz, would have beaten Dillian White based off of that hand speed, and Moses Telma just as good, if not better hand speed than Andy Ruiz, more consistent anyway as well. I thought once he gets hit with a couple of shots over a fast combination, it's going to be over. It's just a case of when does that happen? Is it the first round? It's going to happen. Just when, right? That was my perception originally. Now, Dillian White came in good shape. You could see that. You could see he was taking it serious, started taking his training serious, came in at the lightest he's been in the last decade, and it mattered nothing. It mattered not. I did think it might go a few more rounds, but ultimately it mattered little and little nothing, literally, right? Again, less than 2 minutes this fight went. But Dillian White is done. He's been done for years. Credit to him, because Dillian White has always been a fairly basic heavyweight. And I mean no disrespect with that. What I mean is, Dillian White has good power in the left hand. At one stage had a solid enough chin. At one stage has been well and truly dented now. And that was really it. The main thing about Dillian White, the main thing he showed is that he had that fighting spirit. Certainly at peak, Dillian White had that in abundance. And just because you've been given these cards, they're the hand you've been given. You're not the most fluid heavyweight. Certainly not. You're not the most coordinated, right? You're not the best defensively. Your feet are like cement sometimes. You've got two, and the two of them are two left feet. But you can piece things together and you can, make the most of the hand you're dealt. And that's what Dillian White did. Credit to him. Credit to him. But now, and really, upon reflection, you would say that Dillian White has been over the hill really since maybe 2019, maybe, because he fought Oscar Rivas in 2019. Oscar Rivas was okay. He was down in that fight. Looked terrible against Marius Vac. That was in Saudi Arabia as well. I think that was in Jeddah. They did that one in Jeddah. Looked absolutely awful there. No, he took that fight on short notice, but still, many people have fought Marius Vac on short notice and they've not looked amazing, but they've not looked that bad. Fights Povetkin, fight camp of 2020. Meant to fight Povetkin, I think, originally in May, but obviously for obvious reasons it got pushed back to August. I think it was around about this time in August actually as well. And Dillian White winning that fight comfortably, makes a catastrophic mistake in the 5th round and gets knocked nearly out. Well, actually was knocked out cold, damn near out cold by Povetkin. Now, was Dillian White past his peak at that point, or was Alexander Povetkin just so shot? Because Povetkin was hurt by David Price in 2018, was knocked out by Anthony Joshua in 2018, struggled, went life and death, I thought lost to Michael Hunter in 2019, so on and so forth. And people saying, Povetkin in the rematch was completely shot. It's like, no, he was shot in the first fight. He was able to capitalize on a mistake by Dillian White. He wasn't winning that first fight, people. Don't try and say like, oh, it was, no, he wasn't. He was done. He was done. So Dillian White was actually meant to fight Otto Wallin in 2021 because he had that win over Povetkin and wanted to maintain things. And I wonder at the time, did they realize, maybe Team Dillian White realized that actually, do you know what? They're not working. I mean, in terms of his body, things aren't where they need to be. They're not working. We can't fight Otto Wallin in case, and that would have been, Otto Wallin, I think, he is a southpaw. That would have been a tricky southpaw. Wouldn't have stood him in good stead for Tyson Fury, but it would have, been activity. Maybe at the time his team were thinking, no risks, you need this Fury fight. You can't go risking this fight again, because he could have had it earlier in 2022 had he not got knocked out and chin by Povetkin, right? So he goes and he waits for a year, and then he fights Tyson Fury, comes out southpaw in the first round, because I think maybe they knew that they didn't have it in them. Something wasn't there. Because Dillian White coming out southpaw in the first round, that tells me straight off the bat that, okay, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're going to do in this fight. You're confused. You're just thinking, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? So again, there you go. Fights then November that year against Jermaine Franklin, who's not a bad fighter, but Dillian White sure did make hard work of it, right? And Joshua, Joshua didn't look great in that fight. He still did him handily. And then who did Dillian White fight? Then he's penciled to fight AJ in 23. About this time, roughly this time, 2 years ago. Gets popped again. This is the third time in his career. Gets popped again. He's out of action then till March of 24. Again, looks terrible against Christian Hammer, who had, I think, retired prior to that and then came back out of retirement. I think maybe he's retired again. Who knows? Looks terrible in that fight. Looks even worse against Evan. You see what I'm getting at here? You can make the strong argument that Dillian White after 2018, that was it. That was him done. That was his peak, well and truly gone. And he done well to be able to maintain relevancy and get a world title shot in of itself even after that. But that's really it. Now you're putting him in there with a prospect who is not just a prospect, he's a contender now, and he's one of the most impressive fighters I've seen in years. And the kid's only 20 years old. And as I said in my post-fight video, the skills he has and the gifts in the boxing ring he has, it's almost not fair. How well coordinated, how athletic, how fast, how powerful he is. That doesn't mean he's perfect. He could have a chin like a poet. He could be, he could have no heart, but you know what I mean? All that, and you're fighting a washed to bits Dillian White. Yeah, he's in shape. As I said a couple of weeks ago, Muhammad Ali was in shape for Larry Holmes. Did it make any difference? Hell no, it didn't. Did it make any difference tonight? Hell no, it didn't. Made no difference whatsoever. It's nice that you're in shape, but it made no difference. That's why I think Dillian White, bow out now. Please do. Go. I'm not saying that as in I want to see because I don't like you or anything like that. As I always say, I look at the fighter's long-term health. You're getting hurt in the first round. Your legs are going, you're going down. Your chin's been shot for years. You don't have it in you. Your body looks old. It doesn't look like it's moving the same. Everything just looks wrong. And I suspect you and your team have known that for years now. Because when you look back at these little things, you're like, Odavalin, it was an injury. He was there ringside that night, didn't look injured to me. If you go back, I think Chantel Cameron headlined that night. Didn't look injured to me. I suspect his team knew at that point, no risks, get the Fury fight. You come out southpaw in the first round, you didn't know what you were doing. It was an easy win for Tyson Fury. If Fury was on the decline, you'd never been able to tell, because I think White was further shot. And I think now when you look back, you can say he was probably done really at the elite level 6 years ago. I think that's fair to say. And that's 6 years ago. Now, 2025, I mean, what do you want me to say? That you're done, So I think Dillian White, as the title of this video suggests, would be in trouble if he does carry on, because I think Dillian White, unlike some of his contemporaries, some of the examples, like your Danny Williamses of the world, he's made a lot of money. In fact, Dillian White is an overachiever in many ways in his career. He's fought at a high level, which his talent maybe necessarily doesn't warrant, and he's headlined pay-per-views. He's probably made millions for this fight. He's made millions for other fights. He's done so well financially. He's overachieved in terms of money. I mean, there are world champions who have way more talent than Dillian White, probably now in boxing, who won't make the kind of money Dillian White has made. You should be very happy with that. I'm sure he is. Live comfortably the rest of your life. Dean White, baby thing, does his promotional, he does his small hall shows, maybe help out with that. But I think it's time for Dillian White to bow out. As for Telma, I'll talk about that in a separate video. But for Dillian White now, that is, I just say bow out gracefully. You've had a great career, but time waits for no man. And I think your time was probably up a couple of years ago. And I think that I said he's going to lose this fight, but the nature of the defeat will tell us whether Dillian White is going to stick around or not. I thought if he lost late but was game, gave a good account of himself, asked Telma questions, we'll probably see him again. He'll probably get another fight. No. Don't want to see him after that. Not that. Not having to go, but just no. No. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. People, I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. I'll upload this in the morning. It's after midnight now. So I'll upload this probably first thing tomorrow morning when I wake up. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.